During the Industrial Revolution, some people such as Charles Dickens, a famous writer of the 19th century, wanted to change the working and living conditions of the working class. A famous quote of him is, there is a man who would give his life to keep a life you love beside you. In other words, he's describing the role and the relations between the workers and the factory owners. The most important thing in life is to stop saying I wish and start saying I will. This clearly shows in this other important quote by Dickens that he clearly wants to change, and he wants to change a lot. Surprisingly, he wasn't the only one to think that, because rich factory owners such as the Cadburys and Samuel Gregg wanted to as well.
John Cadbury was born from a very wealthy Quaker family, and Quaker meant that he basically lived a life kind of like a Puritan, like no alcohol, couldn't do most basic games, like couldn't really have fun, so to say. And he was born in Birmingham, which at the time was one of the three largest cities during the Industrial Revolution, along with Manchester and Liverpool. And so this meant that it was a very crowded place, it was very polluted and everything like that. And at the time, like everybody drank more alcohol than water, simply because water wasn't clean at the time, and alcohol was, and it was also cheaper than water. So that was just what people drank instead. So this made that there was also drunkards around in the city. And so him, being a Quaker, of course he didn't like that. So he wanted to create another drink which was kind of addictive and better than water at the same time, and that wasn't as bad as alcohol. So he decided to go for chocolate milk, basically. And so he created the Cadbury factory. But he didn't create it in Birmingham, he actually created it like 4 miles out, like to the south, in Bourneville. Because at the time the country was much less polluted, there was much more space also, and Bourneville became a natural town. Like that was a complete town where he basically built everything. There were like houses that were quite big and everything, with gardens so that the people could like grow their own foods. There was like schools, hospitals, everything, all paid for by Mr. Cadbury. And so he created the Cadbury factory, which still exists nowadays and can still go visit it, known as Cadbury World. But also, after his sons took over the company, they even tried to make life even better for their workers, like by making the town bigger and like having sports places, like fields and everything. And also, once they went on a journey to Switzerland, where they found out a new type of cocoa press and a new type of milk, like a new way of making chocolate. And this became the brand's now like the most popular part of the brand, which is like Cadbury's Dairy Milk, which still exists nowadays, and you might even be eating some right now. Even though I'm going to show it in class, so you're not going to be eating some right now. Yeah. What did man do?
Samuel Gregg, the founder of Quard Bank Mill, came from a rich and Northern Irish family. After a private education, Samuel Gregg was sent to his uncle Robert Hyde in Manchester. In 1780, Samuel became a junior partner in his uncle's company. 2 years later, Robert Hyde died, and Gregg took over the firm. It was now an important and valuable business, with the stock of cloths valued at £26,000.
By 1783, Gregg understood that his business needed increasing quantity of good quality yarn. To guarantee this, he decided to build his own textile mill. He chose a deep wooded valley as the site of his first mill. One reason for this decision was the River Bowden, provided Gregg the power to drive his machinery with a great, gigantic and powerful wheel. Another one is that the location was situated in a rather healthy and attractive environment. He paid for a replacement water wheel and cottages for his growing workforce at style. Gregg had some difficulty finding enough people to work in his mill. Since Manchester was 11 miles away and local villages were very, very small, he had to bring workers that needed cottages. These cost about £100 each. The cottages that Gregg built for his workers were good quality. Each family, about 8 people per family, had a parlour, a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, a cistern and a backyard. Each cottage had a good sized garden where they were encouraged to grow their own vegetables to partly sustain their own food.
An important event that shows the generosity and caring of Samuel Gregg was that when the mill coffers were robbed by some unknown person, he decided himself to pay with his own money his workers because he didn't want them to be going unpaid for their good work and devotion.
The Industrial Revolution has shaped the world we live in, but not without any negative consequences. Indeed, it is remembered as one of the darkest times in our history, as many workers died in the factories from poor working conditions or in their houses from poor housing conditions. But some people did try to change this.
The Industrial Revolution was a big time for changes, and as we already saw, Charles Dickens in his books and his quotes really wanted the change himself.
And as we saw earlier, well, people who did make changes were famous for are the Cadburys and Samuel Gregg.
Now, see you next time on Keeping Up with History with our new special edition, the Soviet Union.
Oh my god! No. It's this.
Don't touch your nipple! As you may know, many workers died in factories and had horrible living conditions and everything. For fuck! I was on it!
It was
For fuck!
It was really
Oh my
good.
god!
You threw it.
You laugh though.
Think about dying African children. Something like that.
Really.
I'm cool.
Really.
Crazy.
Kill me now.
What?
No, please. Position and action.
The Industrial Revolution has... That's not that! I spoke 3 words!
No,